Family Matters was once one of America's most beloved sitcoms, a show that began by celebrating the heart and humor of a close-knit family, only to be swept up in the unstoppable rise of one unforgettable character, Steve Urkel. But behind the laughter and catchphrases, cracks began to form. Creative shifts, behind-the-scenes tensions, and one controversial episode pushed the series toward an ending that few saw coming. So what was the infamous scene that left fans shocked and contributed to the show's downfall? Stay tuned as we uncover the real story behind Family Matters' dramatic final chapter. Family Matters' legacy. Family Matters stands as one of the most beloved and enduring sitcoms in television history, leaving behind a rich legacy that continues to inspire and entertain generations. Born as a spin-off from Perfect Strangers, the show first aired on September 22, 1989, and immediately captivated audiences with its portrayal of the Winslow family, a hard-working, middle-class African-American household living in Chicago. At its heart was Harriet Winslow, a character who had already charmed viewers as the elevator operator on Perfect Strangers. She and her family became the center of a show that was as much about laughter as it was about the values of unity, love, and perseverance. From the start, Family Matters offered stories that resonated deeply with viewers across the nation, making the Winslow home a familiar and comforting place on Friday nights. One of the most defining aspects of Family Matters was its ability to blend humor with heartfelt lessons about family life, friendship, and community. Carl Winslow, the family's kind-hearted and principled patriarch played by Reginald VelJohnson, embodied integrity and strength. Harriet Winslow, portrayed with warmth and wisdom by Jo Marie Payton, was the anchor who balanced family life with compassion and common sense. Together, they navigated the challenges of parenthood, careers, and everyday obstacles with grace and humor. The Winslow children, along with extended family members and friends, created a tapestry of characters that reflected the richness of family bonds and the power of support systems in the face of life's ups and downs. A key moment in the show's history came with the arrival of Steve Urkel, the Winslows' nerdy, well-meaning neighbor who quickly became a beloved figure in television lore. Originally intended as a one-time character, Steve, played by Jaleel White, won the hearts of audiences with his quirky personality, signature suspenders, oversized glasses, and unforgettable catchphrases like, "Did I do that?" His high-pitched voice, clumsy antics, and unwavering optimism added a new dynamic to the show that resonated with viewers of all ages. What started as a minor addition to the cast soon grew into one of the most recognizable and cherished characters in sitcom history. Urkel's presence added layers of humor and heart to the show, and his interactions with the Winslow family created countless memorable moments that continue to be celebrated today. Over its 9-season run, Family Matters produced 215 episodes, making it the second-longest-running live-action American sitcom featuring a predominantly African-American cast, surpassed only by The Jeffersons. The show's longevity spoke volumes about its ability to connect with audiences and offer meaningful stories that transcended generations. The Winslow family became a symbol of resilience, humor, and love, and their household represented a space where viewers could see themselves and their own families reflected on screen. The show's inclusion in ABC's iconic TGIF lineup cemented its place in television history, making Friday nights a time when families across the country gathered together to laugh, learn, and enjoy wholesome entertainment. Beyond its success in ratings and longevity, Family Matters played a pivotal role in broadening the representation of Black families on television. At a time when diversity in primetime programming was still limited, the show provided a positive, multifaceted portrayal of African-American life that was both authentic and empowering. The Winslows were depicted as a loving, supportive, and aspirational family, and their stories celebrated values like hard work, respect, kindness, and perseverance. The series showed that these universal themes could be told through the lens of a Black family, without resorting to stereotypes, and in doing so, it helped pave the way for future shows to embrace more inclusive storytelling. The character of Steve Urkel also left an indelible mark on popular culture. His image, complete with suspenders, high-water pants, and thick glasses, became instantly recognizable, and his catchphrases became part of the American lexicon. Urkel's popularity extended beyond the screen, inspiring merchandise, parodies, and references in other media. More importantly, the character offered a new vision of black youth on television. In an era when representations of black masculinity were often one-dimensional, Urkel stood out as a symbol of intelligence, sensitivity, and individuality. Throughout its run, Family Matters maintained its core commitment to delivering stories that balanced humor with life lessons. Whether addressing themes of friendship, honesty, responsibility, or the importance of family, the show provided viewers with narratives that were both entertaining and meaningful. Each episode offered an opportunity to reflect on what it meant to care for one another, to work through challenges, and to find joy in everyday moments. The Winslows' home became more than just a setting for sitcom hijinks. It became a symbol of stability, warmth, and belonging. As Family Matters concluded on July 17, 1998, it marked the end of an era in television. The series was the last live-action primetime scripted show from the 1980s to leave the air, aside from The Simpsons. The end of an era. Family Matters came to its close after 9 seasons, ending on July 17, 1998, with a 2-part finale titled Lost in Space. The series finale sought to provide both closure and spectacle, centering around Steve Urkel's long-awaited triumph and the culmination of his love story with Laura Winslow. In a plotline that symbolized the culmination of Urkel's journey from clumsy neighbor to hero, NASA purchased one of Steve's many inventions and invited him to become the first student sent into space. The storyline blended the series' signature humor with heightened drama, as everything that could go wrong on the shuttle inevitably did. A satellite collision left the ship damaged and Urkel floating adrift in space with dwindling oxygen, setting the stage for a classic Family Matters moment. Steve, the underdog nerd who had long been the butt of jokes, rose to the occasion and saved the day. Back on Earth, the Winslow family, led by Carl and Harriet, anxiously watched the unfolding crisis, their faces reflecting the emotions of fans who had followed their journey for nearly a decade. Against the odds, Urkel managed to repair the ship and return safely, receiving a hero's welcome and securing the kiss from Laura that fans had been waiting years to see. That final embrace between Steve and Laura was not only a romantic conclusion, but a symbolic closing chapter on a series that had defined a generation of Friday night television. Yet beneath the feel-good ending of Family Matters lay years of mounting tension, creative struggles, and behind-the-scenes controversies that had steered the once-beloved show off course and contributed to its eventual demise. The Hidden Rift. As Steve Urkel's popularity exploded, so too did his influence over the direction and identity of Family Matters. Originally conceived as a one-off character meant to add a bit of comic relief in a single episode during the first season, Steve Urkel, portrayed with both charm and slapstick brilliance by Jaleel White, captured the imagination of audiences in a way no one, producers, writers, or even White himself, could have predicted. As fan mail poured in and ratings soared in episodes featuring Urkel, network executives and producers saw an opportunity they couldn't ignore: shift the spotlight onto the character that audiences were tuning in to see. What followed was a transformation of Family Matters that altered its trajectory forever. The Winslow family, initially positioned as the heart and moral compass of the show, gradually found themselves eclipsed by Urkel's ever-expanding presence. Storylines that once revolved around realistic family challenges, work-life balance, and community values began centering more and more on Urkel's wild schemes, scientific experiments, alter egos, and unorthodox romantic quests. Episodes increasingly focused on his comic misadventures, from turning himself into the suave Stefan Urkel to building robots and even, eventually, going into outer space. While the pivot to an Urkel-centered narrative delivered immediate ratings success, especially during seasons 4 and 5, it came at a cost that would reveal itself in the years to follow. As the balance of the show shifted further toward fantasy and spectacle, some fans began to feel that Family Matters was drifting away from its soul. And within the cast, this shift sowed seeds of discord that grew over time. Nowhere was this tension felt more acutely than by Jo Marie Peyton, who played Harriet Winslow, the strong, compassionate, no-nonsense matriarch who had been the central figure linking Family Matters to its predecessor, Perfect Strangers. From the very beginning, Harriet had been the emotional bedrock of the show, embodying its themes of family, dignity, and resilience. But as Urkel's star rose, Harriet's role was increasingly diminished. Peyton, a seasoned actress with deep roots in theater and television, was vocal about her frustrations in later interviews. She had signed on to Family Matters to tell authentic stories about Black family life, stories that reflected the joys, struggles, and triumphs of ordinary people navigating a sometimes challenging world. As the show morphed into what many dubbed the Steve Urkel Show, she felt that Family Matters was losing sight of its original mission. Peyton longed to explore richer, more grounded narratives rather than play a supporting role to increasingly outlandish scenarios. By the time the show moved into its 8th and 9th seasons, this creative divergence had become, in her words, emotionally exhausting. Reports from those familiar with the production suggest that what had once been a collegial working environment became increasingly strained. Cast members who had once bonded as a fictional family found themselves navigating real-life tensions as the balance of power shifted behind the scenes. Peyton, once at the center of both the cast's on-screen dynamic and off-screen camaraderie, began to feel marginalized, not just in script pages, but in the creative decisions being made about the show's future. This growing disillusionment led Peyton to a difficult decision. Though contractually committed through the 8th season, she made it known to producers that she wished to leave the series. When CBS acquired Family Matters for what would become its final season, Peyton agreed to stay on for part of the 9th season in order to ease the transition. A clause in her contract allowed her to exit after filming half the season's episodes, and she took that opportunity, feeling that her work on the show had run its course. Her departure marked a seismic shift, not only because she had been one of the original anchors of the series, but because Harriet Winslow's character had symbolized the very values upon which Family Matters was built. The decision to recast Harriet with veteran actress Judi Elder was a practical necessity for the show's producers, but it disrupted the chemistry that had been cultivated over nearly a decade. Adding fuel to the fire was the infamous episode Original Gangster Dog, which aired during the show's final season. The episode introduced Urkel's cousin, OGD, also played by Jaleel White. Designed as a humorous contrast to Steve's nerdy persona, OGD was portrayed as a streetwise, brash character with an attitude that clashed with the show's established tone of wholesome family comedy. Instead of offering levity, OGD's behavior and the episode's edgier themes jarred viewers who had come to rely on Family Matters for family-friendly fare. Longtime fans were dismayed by what felt like a desperate and poorly executed attempt to inject new life into a faltering series. Critics and audiences alike saw the episode as a betrayal of the show's spirit, and the backlash was swift. Ratings, which had already begun to slide, plummeted further, signaling to CBS and the show's producers that the end was near. The negative response to OGD's character crystallized broader frustrations with the show's creative direction. In chasing ratings through gimmicks and guest characters, Family Matters had lost sight of the heartfelt storytelling that had once set it apart. The network switch from ABC to CBS for the 9th season was itself emblematic of the series' troubled final chapter. CBS had high hopes that acquiring Family Matters would boost its Friday night lineup and replicate the success ABC had enjoyed with TGIF. Yet the move did not yield the desired results. The show's loyal audience, already shrinking, failed to follow it in significant numbers to its new home. Changes in time slot and competition from fresher programming made it difficult for the series to regain its footing. Behind the scenes, the atmosphere reportedly grew more strained. Cast members, who had once shared an easy camaraderie, found themselves at odds amid shifting priorities and creative fatigue. Jaleel White, once the breakout star, faced the dual pressure of carrying the show's narrative and navigating increasing scrutiny about the extent of his off-screen influence. Meanwhile, the loss of Jo Marie Payton, a foundational figure, left a void that was hard to fill, despite the capable efforts of Judianne Elder. Despite the difficulties, the creative team endeavored to give Family Matters a proper send-off. The final episodes sought to honor the characters' journeys and provide closure for the fans. In addition to Urkel's space adventure, the finale depicted Eddie Winslow's graduation from the police academy, following in Carl's footsteps as a third-generation officer. This father-son storyline underscored the values of legacy and duty that had long been at the heart of the series. Carl's pride in his son and Harriet's eventual acceptance of Eddie's career choice offered viewers a return to the familial themes that had once been the show's foundation. Meanwhile, Urkel's heroism in space served as the culmination of his evolution from awkward boy to young man, while his engagement to Laura fulfilled a romantic arc that had spanned nearly the entire series. These moments provided a measure of emotional resolution, even as the show's decline and the controversies that hastened its end remained fresh in the minds of its creators and audience. Could Family Matters return? More than 2 decades after Family Matters left the airwaves, the idea of a reboot continues to stir conversation among its original cast, with Jaleel White at the center of the dialogue offering a fresh, unconventional vision for what a revival could look like. Best known as the beloved and often chaotic Steve Urkel, White has expressed both affection for the original series and caution about simply recreating its magic for modern audiences. In recent interviews, podcasts, and panels, including his appearance on David Duchovny's Fail Better podcast, White has laid out a concept that breaks away from the typical nostalgia-driven reboots. Rather than simply picking up where the show left off, with Steve married to Laura and raising Urkel Jr., White imagines a single-camera streaming series that revisits the 90s through the eyes of a new character, a kid cast on a struggling sitcom who unexpectedly becomes its breakout star. White, who experienced that trajectory himself when Steve Urkel turned Family Matters into a household staple, believes such a story could explore the challenges of child stardom, the disconnect between fame and normalcy, and the broader culture of the 90s, a time that shaped television, technology, and social dynamics in lasting ways. He envisions this modern take as having the tone of the Wonder Years, where the emotional core comes from the relationships within the boys' family, parents unfamiliar with the entertainment business, and from the pressures of living in 2 worlds, the set and the schoolyard. White's idea moves beyond revisiting old jokes or the familiar dynamic of Steve chasing Laura's affection. In fact, he's been clear that simply returning to the Winslow family as they were wouldn't create the kind of tension or narrative spark that once kept fans tuning in week after week. In his own words, the original show's magic belongs only in the 90s. During his 2024 appearance at 90s Con in Daytona Beach, White explained that he approaches any reboot idea as a coach would approach a team lineup, by recognizing strengths, weaknesses, and what it takes to win. He's adamant that any revival should aim for something more than just reuniting the cast for nostalgia's sake. It should aim for a story that speaks to new audiences while honoring the spirit of the original. White also noted that a traditional sequel where Steve and Laura are happily married would lack the friction that made their relationship so compelling, and that audiences might not embrace seeing him revisit the character with an older, deeper voice that no longer matches the iconic high-pitched Urkel sound. Despite White's reluctance to pursue a conventional reboot, other cast members have spoken with enthusiasm about revisiting the Family Matters universe. Jo Marie Payton, who played Harriet Winslow, reflected during the 2017 Entertainment Weekly reunion that she would welcome the opportunity if the right script came along. "If they dropped a script at our feet when we walked out of here, we would come back in tomorrow and the next day we'd have a show shot," she shared, underscoring the genuine affection she and her castmates still feel for the characters they brought to life. This shared willingness reveals that, while approaches may differ, the bond between the actors and their love for the show's legacy remains strong. Reginald VelJohnson, Kelly Shanigne Williams, and others have also expressed openness to a revival in various interviews, though like White, they've acknowledged that recapturing the magic of the original would require more than just gathering the old gang together. Throughout the years, multiple reboot pitches have surfaced. In his memoir, Growing Up Urkel, White recounted being approached in 2016 with a more traditional revival idea that would have centered on Steve and Laura's married life, with Carl and Harriet appearing occasionally as grandparents. White turned it down, feeling that a simple continuation of the original formula would feel dated and uninspired in today's world. Instead, he has championed the notion of telling a new kind of story, one that draws from his own experiences as a young actor thrust into the spotlight, and that reflects the pressures, humor, and heartache that come with fame at a young age. He's likened the potential series to Young Sheldon or Survivor's Remorse, where viewers might recognize the inspiration but be introduced to fresh characters and settings. The focus would not be on revisiting Urkel himself, but on exploring the dynamics of a modern family adjusting to life in the chaotic world of show business. White's vision speaks to a deeper understanding of why certain reboots succeed and others falter. He's pointed out that series like Cobra Kai and the Wonder Years reboot found success because they built new stories on familiar foundations, rather than simply replaying the hits. By contrast, reboots that lean too heavily on nostalgia without offering something fresh, he mentions examples like Fuller House and Girl Meets World, can struggle to find their footing beyond the initial curiosity factor. His approach invites audiences to engage with the era that birthed Family Matters in a new way, reflecting on the evolution of culture, technology, and family dynamics since the 1990s. The Family Matters cast members continue to respect one another's views on the subject, even as they differ in how they would like to see a reboot unfold. Peyton, VelJohnson, and Williams have all emphasized the joy they would find in working together again, but they, too, have acknowledged the importance of finding the right story, one that honors the original's heart without simply repeating the past. Where are they now? Since Family Matters wrapped its 9-season run in 1998, its cast has carved out diverse and inspiring paths in entertainment and beyond, continuing to impact audiences in new ways. Reginald VelJohnson, who will forever be associated with his portrayal of the beloved Carl Winslow, carried forward his trademark warmth and authority into a string of television guest spots. Audiences saw him pop up in Will and Grace, Monk, CSI, Bones, Chuck, and Mike and Molly, among others. His comedic and fatherly presence remained in demand, including a role in Disney Plus's Turner and Hooch reboot, where he reprised his character David Sutton from the 1989 film. VelJohnson even returned to animated fare with a voice role in Prime Video's Invincible, and competed on Dancing with the Stars in 2024, finishing in 10th place. On the big screen, he made memorable small appearances in films like Mike, You Again, and the very excellent Mr. Dundee in 2020, a film that gained attention as Olivia Newton-John's final movie before her passing in 2022. Meanwhile, Jo Marie Payton, who gave heart and soul to the role of Harriet Winslow, continued to shine as both a live-action and voice performer. She found success on Moesha, Will and Grace, Seventh Heaven, and starred in Man and Wife from 2015 to 2017. But perhaps her most beloved post-Family Matters role has been voicing Sugar Mama in Disney's The Proud Family, a character she continues to play in The Proud Family, Louder and Prouder on Disney+. Peyton, who married Leonard Downs in 2007, also graced the big screen in 2019's The Beach Bum and remains an active and respected figure in the industry. Darius McCrary, who grew up in front of millions as Eddie Winslow, embraced a varied career that mixed voice work, dramatic roles, and family-friendly projects. He voiced Jazz in Michael Bay's Transformers film in 2007 and took on roles in movies like 15 Minutes, opposite Robert De Niro and Saw 4. McCrary also found success on daytime television, joining The Young and the Restless as Malcolm Winters from 2009 to 2011, before returning to primetime in shows like Anger Management and Star. His recent work includes the drama Monogamy, which completed its third season in 2021, and he even reunited with Kelly Shanigan Williams for the 2020 holiday film Christmas in Carolina. Speaking of Williams, the actress who brought Laura Winslow to life stepped back from the Hollywood spotlight to focus on family and philanthropic endeavors. After appearing on What About Joan? And in films like In the Mix and Steppin' the Movie, she dedicated herself to initiatives like the Kelly Williams Program, which she founded in 2006 to help D.C. area youth gain hands-on experience in television production. Now married to Hannibal Jackson since 2009 and mother to 2 children, Williams balances personal life with occasional public appearances, including 90s con reunions and charity work. Jaleel White, whose portrayal of Steve Urkel became a defining image of 1990s television, worked hard to break out of the nerdy mold. He went on to headline Grown Ups on UPN, hosted Sci-Fi's game show Total Blackout, and took on memorable roles in shows like Me, Myself and I, Trial and Error, and Raven's Home. His film credits include Dreamgirls, Big Fat Liar, Judy Moody and the Not Bummer Summer, and Adam Sandler's Hustle in 2022. White even tackled reality TV as a contestant on Dancing with the Stars in 2012, placing 8th. Though he once vowed to leave Urkel behind, he returned to voice the character in Scooby-Doo and Guess Who in 2019 and served as producer and star of Cartoon Network's Did I Do That to the Holidays?, a Steve Urkel story in 2023. In 2024, he celebrated a personal milestone, marrying business executive Nicoletta Rule. Meanwhile, Thelma Hopkins, who played Harriet's sister Rachel, continued a long and respected career. Beyond appearances on ER, Psych, and Two Broke Girls, she became a regular on Half and Half Are We There Yet? And recently earned praise for roles in Dead to Me and The Matrix Resurrections. She also lent her voice to The Loud House and the Rugrats reboot, bringing her signature warmth to new generations. Brighton James, formerly Brighton McClure, who played Richie Crawford, found enduring success in daytime drama, joining The Young and the Restless in 2004 as Devin Hamilton, a role that has earned him 2 Daytime Emmy Awards and multiple NAACP Image Awards. He has also worked extensively as a voice actor, contributing to Young Justice, Static Shock, and Tales of the Jedi. Sean Harrison, remembered fondly as the lovable Waldo Faldo, embraced animation as well, voicing Timberwolf in Legion of Superheroes and appearing in Moesha, Girlfriends, and more recently in Raven's Home and The Ms. Pat Show. Together, the Family Matters cast members have crafted meaningful and dynamic lives beyond their iconic sitcom roles. Many have balanced their acting work with personal growth, advocacy, and creative projects that reflect their passions. Whether through television, film, voice work, or community engagement, the Winslows and their friends continue to leave a lasting imprint on pop culture, proving that while the show may have ended, its family spirit lives on in their ongoing contributions. What began as a heartfelt family sitcom transformed over time, culminating in that infamous scene that many believe helped bring Family Matters to its unexpected end. But what do you think? Was the show's downfall inevitable, or could it have been saved if it stayed true to its original vision? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive into TV history, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and share this video with fellow fans of classic sitcoms.